Man, appreciate you guys for showing love as always, man. We got another jam-packed show for y'all, man. So we really do appreciate y'all rocking with us on the Daily Show as always. Let's get this thing cracking, man. Let's jump straight into it. Bears meet with Jalen Carter for a second time. There's only 4 prospects that the Bears have met with 2 times or more. It seems like they're really narrowing in on their list of guys, right? They got Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter, Paris Johnson Jr., and Jackson Smith in Jigba, which was a tough name for us at the beginning of when we first started breaking them down. And so, question on the table, boys. At least to start, right? Let's go through it by player, right? Jalen Johnson, I think, is the hot button topic right now. He's the one that everybody's going to be focused in on. He's the one that everybody's going to look at and say, maybe he should be avoided, even if he is that level of talent. Let's start it there. Should the Bears be in on Jalen Johnson? Is Jalen Johnson worth the risk to the Chicago Bears? I'm sorry, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, my bad.
I'm gonna say, who is this mystery player?
Hey, legit. I'm like, is he talking about Paris?
Jalen Johnson plays on the team already, whole time. he's our DB. Should the Bears be in on Jalen Carter? Appreciate that, boys. Should the Bears be in on Jalen Carter? I mean, listen, he was the top player in the draft. He was realistically the number 1 player coming out. That wasn't a quarterback, right? So you feel like the talent is there, but do you think that there is enough on the table of a maturity level? Is there enough on the table of a leader? Is there enough on the table that, or at least just talent wise, that is worth taking a chance on Jalen Carter if he is there at 9?
For me, I'm looking at it, and with the other 3 people on this list, I'm gonna go ahead and say no, just because of the simple fact, like to me, I know that that he's had the second meeting with polls and everything like that, but I just got the questions about the maturity, the motor, everything like that, right? I mean, you didn't do you pretty much didn't do anything at the combine, and then you come out, you don't even finish completing your drills at the pro day, which already you were coming into that with some questions as well. So for me, with the other people on this list, it just depends on what Poles feels like they actually need, what Poles feels like he actually needs. I know that he also said that he was going to be talking to Justin a little bit about the offensive side of the ball to see what they needed. So for me personally, just for him specifically, because we just on him, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I want to echo those statements simply because it's Chicago. I know that everyone deserves a second chance and we all make mistakes and stuff like that. But Chicago is a town where if you're not mature, you're going to find yourself in some trouble, or trouble going to find you.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I don't know, I'm not holding it against them, but I don't know if this would be the right environment for him, just for that aspect alone. And that's probably, that's probably an off-putting statement to some, and I get it, and I respect it. But I mean, we all grew up in Chicago. We all know what type of town it is. We already know, especially when you're young with money, what you can get here.
Anything you want, realistically.
And I know there's like, hey, you could do the same in Philly. You could do everything else, but it's like, hey, the potential drawbacks that come here. We have other needs that we actually need to fill. I like Paris Johnson a lot. And I think that ultimately, just with everything surrounding him, I mean, there was another report that the body cam footage just came out, and they're now talking about, why did he lie and all that stuff. It's like, hey, you know what? I get it, but you just a little too hot right now. You feel me? You too hot. I'm a pass up on you. You're a little too hot right now. So
the one thing I wanted to add before Pat goes as well, they said that he did talk to, like he basically told everybody outside of the top 10, like he wasn't taking me.
They did say that.
Yeah.
So he expects to still go in the top 10. Here's my thing with all of it, right? Listen, I hear everything everybody's saying, but at the end of the day, the question that I always find myself asking when it comes to players like this is, are we going to care this Hall of Fame speech if he has one? Are we going to care if at the end of the day he's one of the top players in the NFL. Are we going to care if 5 years in, he's holding up the Lombardi trophy and we're sitting there like, man, we could have had him? Now, here's the main thing for me when it comes to Jalen Carter, and we're going to touch on just about all these players. But the biggest part for me is that I don't think that he'll be there. I think he'll be gone to the Detroit Lions or the Oakland Raiders before the Chicago Bears even get a chance to take a look at him. But realistically, in my opinion, I'm just one of those guys that, listen, I understand all of the things that are attached to it. I understand, right, like the moral high ground that everybody wants to take right now. But I also want to let every one of you know you are hypocrites. I want to let every single one of you know you are hypocrites. You will not care if he's a great player. You will not care if he makes a Hall of Fame. You will not care if he's an all-pro defensive lineman. You will not care if he's a sack leader. You won't. Like let's keep it football when we break down these guys and everything else. Listen, if he can't play in the NFL because the law won't allow him, that's a whole different situation. Yeah, okay, there's a reason that you're not going to draft him. But remember, right, like the first thing that everybody said when that report came out that people are taking Jalen Carter off their draft board was, oh, they must have found something out. Here come the police. They finna take him off to jail. No, he just let them know that he's not taking meetings outside of the top 10. Let's stop jumping to conclusions. I'm not saying what he did was right. I think what he did was incredibly stupid. I think that he was dumb for running away from the police, and it makes you look worse. But
you lie about it.
Are we really?
And then you lied about it.
And then you lied about it. But are we really going to sit here and stand on this moral high horse when in 2 years, what is going to be the thing that will be littered in our comments if he's a Detroit Lion sacking Justin Fields 3 times a game? We could have had him.
Well, I think it's also situational too. Like, you know, if Detroit puts him on the line and they have the right pieces around him.
They got the right pieces. They got the right pieces.
They got the right
pieces.
Hayden Hutchinson is a dog out here.
They got the right pieces. Don't get me wrong, man. I've been saying that, but like, when he have that same impact here, we don't necessarily know if he have that same impact here, right? Like, we have the same defense as
that is true.
No, and that's the thing, right? Like, that's in my video yesterday. I talked about kind of like, right, like, what is the you have to understand that you're not bringing this guy in just as a guy. You're bringing this guy in to be the guy. You're bringing this guy in to be the leader. You're bringing this guy to be, and you know, a lot of times, right, with teams like this, you say, oh, well, I have other guys that can point him in the right direction, keep him on the right track. No, we don't, right? Who? Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Johnson, right? Like who's the guy? Who's the vet on this? We got rid of him. David Montgomery is gone. Roquan Smith is gone. The guys that in my mind would actually keep him in line. Now, you do have Tremaine Edmonds on the team. Hopefully he'll end up being that level of leader, but Tremaine Edmonds is 24. Right? Like, a lot of the guys you signed are very, very young pieces. So to me, I look at the situation, I say, if you don't feel like he's mature enough to be the leader,
then you move off of him.
You move off of him. I'm okay with that. But if you feel like, hey, this guy can turn into a leader, he made a dumb mistake. If he falls to us, he's the best talent in the draft. He literally would have been the number 1 pick. I'd have a tough time sitting there trying to stand on my moral high horse and say, well, he got in a car accident and somebody passed away. And so because of that, he'll never play in the NFL for my team. Like, it's not realistic.
I'd never make any statements like that, but it's like, hey,
it's not realistic.
Now? Like, is it good now? Nah, it may not be the right time now.
Yeah.
That's the thing that when it comes to roster construction, that's the hit or miss, and that's the challenge of being a GM. Like, Poles has to decide whether or not, like you mentioned, you're drafting him to be the guy. He may not be ready to be the guy right now.
Yeah.
But you need to have a guy right now. So this may not be the opportunity for him. It's going to be one of those things where, man, we could have, but it just we didn't see it was going to work out in the short term, which could ultimately impact our long-term vision with what we have to develop. So I don't know. For me, I've always said I love the fact that there are, I love the fact that Jalen Carter is still going to get a shot. How about that? Right? I take that, take all that away. But if I'm posed, and I've been very big on this, I need you to do some more offensive work, baby. I don't care if we are the Detroit Lions where we put up 30 something points every game but lose by 3 or whatever the case was, right? I want to see a high powered offense because we haven't had one. And so I'm biased. I'm gonna pick Peter. I'm gonna pick JSN. I'm gonna pick anybody that's gonna help Justin look like a guy.
Yeah. And to that point, right? I mean, like there are names on there that would in essence help Justin in the long run, right? How you boys feeling about if the Bears? I mean, these guys realistically to me will be there at number 9 if the Bears want them, right? I think Jalen Carter actually doesn't make it to us, but Paris Johnson Jr. First off, Paris is going to be biased because Paris, but Paris Johnson Jr. Offensive lineman.